Okay, let's dive into this really fascinating stack of sources we've got. We're talking medieval Russias, but maybe not the way everyone pictures it.
No, definitely not. It's this incredible mix. On one hand, you have sort of high politics, a northern boyar, a lord named Pyotr Vladimirovich, dealing with the Grand Prince in Moscow, trying to manage the Golden Horde's influence.
Right, the political realities.
Exactly. But then, layered right on top, or maybe underneath, is this intense, deeply ingrained world of Slavic mythology, household spirits, the Kirti.
And the sources really emphasize this setting. Lesnaya Zemlya, the forest land, almost buried in snow, this great house. And at its core, this enormous clay oven.
Yeah.
Feels like the fairy tales aren't just stories here. They're how you survive.
That's the core of it. And that's our mission today, right? To unpack the tension. What happens when this new wave of Orthodox piety pushed by Moscow slams into these ancient necessary beliefs that kept people alive day to day?
Who wins? Or does anyone win?
Well, let's start with the home itself. You really can't understand the spiritual side without getting the physical reality. That massive clay oven, the petch, it's central.
Literally central. It sounds huge, like taller than a person.
Oh, yeah. And it did everything. Cooking, obviously, but it was the main heating source. They even used it for makeshift steam baths if someone was ill.
And the kids actually slept on it, on a platform above the fire.
To survive the cold, yeah. It was the warmest, safest place. And because it's so vital, so life-giving, it needs protectors. That's where the charities come in.
The domestic spirits, sometimes translated as little devils, which sounds bad.
It's a tricky translation. They weren't necessarily evil in this context, more like
Yeah.
necessary forces you had to manage. The main one, the domovoi, the house guardian, he's tied directly to that oven.
So you needed him happy to keep things running smoothly, prevent bad luck, that sort of thing.
Pretty much. You had to acknowledge him, leave little offerings, bit of bread, maybe some milk, keep him strong, keep the household safe.
It sounds so practical, almost like spiritual maintenance.
It really was. Very specific, too. It wasn't just one generic spirit. If you had horses or livestock, you needed the Vasila in the stables. Needed his own little offerings, maybe an apple core or a crust of bread.
And for going outside the home? Into the forest.
That's the Leshy, the forest spirit. You're in his domain out there. So maybe leave a little something like a handkerchief tied to a branch just for safe passage. It's this whole system of respect and transaction almost.
Acknowledging the forces around you. And the sources mention an old nurse, Dunya. She's key to keeping this alive.
Absolutely. She's the storyteller, the keeper of the old ways. She tells the children the traditional tales, like the one about Marfa and Morusko right there by the oven. It reinforces the beliefs, keeps the spirits, present.
It makes them real. The sources say they were as human in their way as the folk they guarded, not just abstract ideas.
Exactly. They were immediate, tangible, part of the toolkit for surviving winter, hunger, isolation. It's knowledge passed down, learned by heart, not just read in a book.
Okay, so that's the world inside the house, governed by these ancient rules. But the master, Pyotr, he's operating in a very different world, isn't he? The political one.
Completely different, but just as dangerous. He has to travel down to Moscow. The sources call it lusty and squalid, which gives you a picture.
Yeah, not exactly glamorous.
No. And his main business there is complex. He needs to stay in the good graces of the Grand Prince, Ivan II, Ivan the Fair. But arguably, the more critical relationship is with the Tatar emissaries, the Baskak.
Ah, yes. The Golden Horde's representatives. And dealing with them meant...
Bribes. Serious bribes. The sources mention valuable furs fox ermine.
Wow. So what does that tell us? That the Grand Prince's power wasn't absolute, especially out in the provinces.
Precisely. It shows you how fragmented things were. Pyotr's a big deal locally, a powerful boyar. But his security, his ability to even get his tribute to the horde without being robbed, depend on keeping the Baskak happy. It's basically protection money. The Tatar influence outside Moscow itself was immense.
High stakes indeed. And this pressure directly leads to his second marriage, right? To Anna Ivanovna.
Yes, a purely political match. She's a daughter of the Grand Prince, meant to solidify Pyotr's standing, connect him closer to Moscow's power.
But Anna, she comes with her own baggage. Serious baggage.
Deeply troubled, the sources say her only real desire was to join a convent. She saw it as a refuge, a safe, blessed place. Why? Because of what she calls her madness.
Which is?
She can see the charity, the same spirits Pyotr's household relies on.
Oh, wow. So in Moscow, maybe they weren't so strong or she could ignore them?
Apparently. But when she gets to Lesnaya Zemlya, this place steeped in the old ways, her devils become much more present. They stare at her, they get closer. It terrifies her.
So she sees the little guy in the bathhouse, the spirit sewing in the corner, the domovoi near the oven, and she sees pure evil.
Exactly. Agents of damnation. And this immediately puts her at odds with Pyotr's youngest daughter, Vasya, who's completely at home with these spirits, talks to them even. Anna develops this deep suspicion, even hatred, for Vasya.
And then into this already tense household arrives Father Constantine.
Right. The catalyst in many ways. Young, apparently very handsome, charismatic, and a priest, exiled from Moscow.
Exiled? Why?
The Metropolitan Alexei, the head of the church, supposedly feared Constantine's growing popularity in the capital, so he gets sent north, out of sight, out of mind.
But he arrives with a purpose.
Oh, absolutely. A mission from God, as he sees it. To stamp out these pagan folk beliefs. He sees the domovoi, the leshy, all of it, as pure evil standing between the peasants and salvation.
How does he go about that? Persuasion.
Fear, mostly fear. He preaches fire and brimstone, tells the villagers they'll burn if they keep leaving offerings, they keep acknowledging the old spirits. He demands absolute piety.
And it works.
It seems to, partly because he's compelling, and he's also a skilled icon painter, uses expensive materials like powdered stone, lapis dust. The icons are beautiful, powerful. People are awed, but also scared. They start to pull away from the old ways.
He even tries to fix Anna's madness.
Yeah, he tries an exorcism on her, which of course just reinforces her belief that she's tormented by demons and binds her even tighter to Constantine's worldview.
So now we have these clashing forces. Pyotr juggling politics, Anna and Constantine pushing this rigid piety, and Vasya and Dunya trying to hold on to the old ways. And then the bigger forces enter the picture.
The elemental ones, yes. The myths that underpin the whole landscape. Central to this is the story Dunya tells Marfa and Morozko.
Morozko, the Winter King, or sometimes called a demon.
He's complex. Once the death god Karachun, now the spirit of winter. He embodies the harshness, the order of nature, the necessity of winter, and, well, death. The story's a morality tale. Marfa is kind and respectful to Morozko even when he tests her with cold, so she's rewarded. Her cruel stepsister Eliza is rude and freezes to death.
Lesson being, respect the power of winter.
Respect the natural order even when it's harsh. And Morozko himself is vividly described. Slender, pale blue eyes, dark hair, rides this incredible white horse, Solovy.
And he carries a talisman, a jewel.
A sapphire, yeah. It holds power. He can freeze, but also heal. It's mentioned, interestingly, that the wooden cross Pyotr carries a symbol of his faith was actually given to him by Morozko during a chance meeting in Moscow. The lines are blurred.
So Morozko represents a kind of harsh order, but he has an opposite.
A twin brother and his enemy. Medved, the bear. If Morozko is order, Medved is pure chaos.
Like an actual bear.
More than that, he is chaos. He eats fear, the sources say. He thrives on plague, fire, disorder. He's the shadow on the wall, the voice in the dark, the breakdown of everything.
Okay, I think I see where this is going. Constantine's campaign.
Exactly, by making the villagers afraid, by convincing them to abandon their protectors.
He's weakening the domovoi, the Vasila, the Leshy.
Right. The domovoi literally complains in one account, I am weak because the offerings have stopped. The land's spiritual defenses are down.
And that creates an opening for the bear.
It strengthens him. The fear itself feeds Medved. And with the local guardians weakened, he can start to act more directly. This is when things get really bad. Strange violence. Mutilated animals, a dog found headless, graves disturbed, whispers of the upper, the vampire. Chaos is bleeding into the world because its opposite, order, represented by Morozko and maintained by the charity, is being deliberately undermined.
And Vasya sees this happening.
She does. She gets a warning from a rusalka, a water spirit who's also fading. The warning is stark. Fear is first, then fire, then famine. The Winter King is weak and his brother very near.
Chilling. What can she even do?
She falls back on the old ways. She uses her own blood, a powerful offering, along with traditional gifts like bread and salt, trying to literally feed strength back into the weakened charity. A desperate attempt to shore up the defenses.
But this just makes her look guiltier to Anna and Constantine.
Completely. They see the chaos, the fires, the deaths, the fear, and they see Vasya talking to spirits, performing rituals. They conclude she is the cause, a witch, a demon child.
So they decide to get rid of her.
They conspire to send her away forcibly. To a convent in Moscow, the Ascension, lock her away.
Which forces her to run.
Yes. It's the ultimate betrayal. The village she's trying to protect turns on her. She flees, is chased, and is ultimately saved by
Morosco.
Morosco. He takes her away to his own realm, this timeless house, east of the sun, west of the moon.
Is that like giving up, escaping?
It feels like it, maybe. But the sources suggest it's more like a necessary pause. The community, consumed by fear Medved's influence and piety Constantine's influence, was actively trying to destroy her. She needed to step outside it, maybe gain perspective or power before she could act again.
And does she come back?
She does. But things have changed. Her father, Pyotr, makes a final sacrifice.
Wow.
He rides out supposedly to deal with a village that's been burned more chaos, but it seems he's drawn into the final confrontation between Morosco and Medved.
The brothers finally clash.
And Pyotr, the mortal boyar, plays a crucial role. He uses that wooden cross, the symbol of the new faith, which was given to him by Morosco, the agent of the old order, to help bind Medved, the chaos bringer. He succeeds, but he's killed by the bear in the process. He fulfills his duty, protects his land and people, by bridging both worlds, really.
A synthesis, bought with his life. So Vasya returns to find what?
Her father dead, but the immediate threat from Medved neutralized. Order restored, for now. Morosco is there, and he offers her the classic fairy tale ending.
The rewards.
A prince's ransom. Jewels, gold, silks, a dowry fit for a princess. Security, comfort, stability, everything a girl in her position should want.
But she doesn't take it.
She refuses, flat out, says she'll have nothing of him. Instead, she chooses the horse, Solove. And the only thing she carries is that simple wooden cross her mother carved, which her brother Alyosha left for her.
So no settling down.
No, she chooses wandering, to ride to the ends of the earth. Her path is her own now. The sources quote her understanding. Magic is forgetting that something ever was other than as you willed it. She's choosing her own will, her own destiny over the expected path.
Wow. So pulling it all together, these sources paint a picture of medieval Russia that's far from simple, isn't it? Not just Christian conversion, but this ongoing battle.
A real battleground, where this incredibly practical, vital folklore necessary for survival is clashing with imported religion, political ambition, personal fears. It's messy, complex.
And the takeaway isn't really about choosing one side over the other, God over spirits, or order over chaos.
Not entirely. It seems more about synthesis, maybe, and recognition. Pyotr's final act used elements of both new faith and old magic. Vasya survives, and perhaps thrives, by embracing the complexity, the magic in her bones, that deep knowledge system, even if it leads her away from the safety of home.
It's about acknowledging all the forces at play. Which leads us to a final thought, something for you, the listener, to chew on. Think about Anna Ivanovna. Married for political reasons, her overwhelming fear of the old ways, the Shiarty, blinded her. She couldn't see the real danger, the rising chaos, Medved, and ended up betraying the person, Vasya, who was fighting it.
While Vasya, the wild girl, the one who listened to the old stories and the spirits, was the one who ultimately saved them, even if she had to leave. So the question for us, maybe, in our world, which is saturated with information, yet often pushes for simple answers. What crucial truths, what complex, deep-seated knowledge might we be sacrificing when we choose fear or convenience or simplistic piety over digging into the messy, complicated reality?
What protectors, internal or societal, might we be weakening when we opt for the easy answer instead of grappling with the complexities? Something to think about.